Yeah.
And you weren't really sparring. You were fighting. We were fighting all the time. And guys getting dropped all the time. And that was just the kind of gym that I was in.
There's no coming back from that. The people who, like, dissipate their teeth through drug usage, you don't get, like, a second set.
Didn't look like he got out of first gear. Jake Paul was just on pure survival mode from round 1 right through to round 6. I don't know if he's got a moral victory going 6 rounds. Maybe he has. People might give him credit for going 6 rounds. But he got in there and just survived. He just went in there and ran like a chicken from round 1 right through to round 6 when he got splattered.
Joe Rogan was shocked by the serious injury Jake Paul got in his fight with Anthony Joshua. He said boxing is very dangerous and fighting again could badly harm Jake's brain in everyday life. Experts warned that injuries like this can last a long time and change a person's life forever.
Life is ruined because then you can't think, you can't do things, you don't know what the you're doing in life. It's like literally everything is the quality of your ability to think. And I knew that I was putting that in jeopardy.
Joe Rogan strongly warned Jake Paul to think again before taking such dangerous boxing fights. He said no win or career success is worth risking your life. After fighting Anthony Joshua, Jake was badly hurt, with a broken jaw and several teeth knocked out. Rogan said continuing like this could cause even worse, possibly permanent injuries. He stressed that the fame and excitement are not worth the high personal cost, and that health should always come before glory in the ring.
Here's the thing. Look at all them celebrities like dude from the Mighty Ducks, the little boy actor that got strung out on drugs. And all his fronts and all his teeth were missing from being on meth or whatever, you know what I mean, whatever drug of choice he was on. There's no coming back from that. The people who, like, dissipate their teeth through drug usage, you don't get, like, a second set. So if I'm not mistaken, the dude from Mighty Ducks, somebody, like, he's been clean and they gave him a makeover and he has, like, pretty much fake teeth. So, yeah, the teeth are going to be cooked. Now, I agree with the other part that Rogan was saying, but let's keep going.
Yeah, I think he went into that fight knowing that was probably going to happen. Yeah. And ultimately, the big win for him would be that he was even willing to do it and that he could do well for a little bit.
Yeah, and I've already expressed my thoughts on this. I'm not giving no props for a person who says I am a real deal boxer because I went in and get smashed and got my jaw broken, but I lasted longer than Ngannou. But I was crazy enough to try. Because, to be honest, we're way past the honeymoon stage with a person like Jake Paul. You've been in this for long enough to go through fight camps, dedicate your time, effort, energy, money, spar with people. You spar with some quality names because you have resources and money or whatever. So we're well past that to the point where you just get credit for stepping in. You maybe got credit your first fight or whatever, first couple of fights, for coming from your background.
David Haye explained why Anthony Joshua didn't knock out Jake Paul in the first round. He said that even though Joshua didn't throw very hard punches early, Jake still got hurt. Haye explained that boxing is not about instant knockouts because damage builds up over time. Jake moved well and avoided big shots, but the repeated hits slowly wore him down. He said Joshua should not be blamed for taking his time, since control and accurate punches matter more. Even though Jake survived early rounds, his injuries show how dangerous boxing really is.
So that's usually what happened. What was always going to happen. You know, a lot of people thought he would only last 1 round, 2 rounds, but you got to give Jake credit. He went out there and had a solid game plan and was implementing it at times. Was landing shots and was avoiding getting hit with the big shots. But there's a reason we have weight categories in boxing, and I'd say he sticks with the cruiserweight division where the guys are the same size as him, because that, without having the schooling, the many years, I was able to give away 100 pounds in weight because I've been boxing since I was 10. I was an international amateur and world champion at cruiserweight. That's why I was able to do the big jump and use the tactics that he used to win the heavyweight championship. But credit to him, nothing but respect for Jake Paul for putting on such an event and putting himself in harm's way.
I would imagine some people back home for you are going to say, man, AJ should have gotten out of there in 2 rounds.
No, anyone who understands boxing knows it's very difficult to close the range on someone who doesn't want to hold his feet. And is AJ supposed to just run around swinging and missing? No, he's supposed to wait for the right opportunity, which he did. And once the opportunity presented himself, he landed and the fight was over. But anyone who kind of gives AJ stick because he didn't knock him out in one round doesn't understand boxing.
What level would you say Jake Paul is after that performance?
Pardon?
What level would you say Jake
It's
Paul
hard,
is?
it's hard to tell. It's very, very difficult to see what level he was because he was fighting someone in the top five in the world. So
Analysts are speaking out more about Jake Paul's boxing career and say he should think seriously about quitting. They say he often avoided very tough opponents, usually fighting retired boxers or athletes from other sports, which made people doubt his record. Because of this, many fans felt he never truly proved himself against top fighters. Now, after being knocked out by Anthony Joshua and Tommy Fury, analysts say the risks have finally caught up with him. They believe these losses show his boxing career may be over, and continuing to fight could be very dangerous.
Beat black fighters, not boxers, like Anderson Silva, Tyron Woodley. None of them are boxers. Nate Robinson, who's a YouTuber. So I guess, over the hill, retired Mike Tyson, who's 60, almost lost his life before the fight and had blood transfusions and was coughing up blood and was transported off of a plane for passing out. And Jake Paul wanted to fight him and still tried to knock him out. A lot of y'all like to say he had mercy on Mike, but I promise you, I watched the fight. Just go back and watch it again. He was trying to knock Mike Tyson out from beginning to end. He could not do it. The reason he couldn't do it is because he refused to get too close to Mike Tyson, because Mike Tyson always would swing back, and he knew could not take that punch from Mike Tyson. So he hit and he ran. And at the end of the fight, he was not showing mercy on Mike. He was trying to make sure that he doesn't get knocked out or caught with something stupid, because he knows he's about to win. He didn't want to risk it. I'm not going to keep letting y'all run with this narrative that Mike Tyson was following a script with all these fake script posts running around on Facebook, or saying that he had mercy on Mike. No, he didn't.
Eddie Hearn calmly talks about how the fight went and says everything happened as planned. He explains that the main plan was to stay patient, stay in control, and slowly wear Jake Paul down before ending the fight. Hearn says he first thought the fight would end much faster, but later he was happy it lasted longer so the full plan could work. He remembers moments in the ring where Anthony Joshua stayed calm, focused, and never looked worried. For Hearn, this showed Joshua's experience and smart thinking in the ring. He also laughs at online talk and criticism, saying none of it changes the result or how well the plan was carried out.
Break him down. He said before the fight, I'm going to break him down and then I'm going to knock him out. And that's exactly what he did. I thought it'd be all over within 3 rounds. But, when I got in the ring after, because I was shouting, just, anywhere, arms. I got in, he went, what are you rushing me for? And I was like, oh, sorry. So, but like, obviously he knows what he's doing, and actually now quite pleased that we got the rounds, to be honest.
Yeah, I saw you said that. Really random, I was on Twitter and I saw Jake Paul's mum said she wants to get in the ring and punch you. She said she doesn't like the smug look on your face. She is promoting her book, so I'm not sure if she wants, But did you see that? What did you think of that?
No, I was very sad, because I couldn't have been nicer and more respectful of Jake and what he's done. And I think Logan's amazing. I think he's an incredible athlete. And I shook Jake Paul's dad's hand in the ring, And if I would have seen Mum, I would have said, all right. But I think over the years, we've obviously had our beef, and she probably don't like me anyway. And I am probably a little bit smug. I wasn't smug after the fight, because I would have been more smug if it was all over in a round. Yeah. So, no, I'll give Jake respect. And, sorry, Jake's mum doesn't like me, but if she can send me a free book, that'd be fantastic.
Carl Froch strongly criticized Jake Paul's latest fight and called the whole event a shame for boxing. He said he can't believe Paul is being praised, arguing that the hype is more about show and drama than real boxing skill. Froch pointed out that modern boxing is starting to care more about social media fame than true talent in the ring. He warned that this could hurt the sport and teach young fans to value flash over real technique. Froch said fights like this should not represent boxing, and officials need to rethink how they are promoted. He stressed that protecting boxing's credibility is more important than viral moments and online popularity.
Stopped on his feet, countered out, knocked out, whatever, however you want to call it. It wasn't a bad knockout. It wasn't an El Sparko. He wasn't rendered unconscious, but he got done. He got it on the chin. He went over. He didn't beat the count. He was sort of up on his feet. But if I'm honest, the whole fight was terrible, wasn't it? It was just so bad. It was just shit, wasn't it? A proper bad fight for AJ. And let me start with AJ. AJ was following him around the ring a little bit, sort of pouring with the jab, putting the jab on the shoulder of Jake Paul, sort of putting him in the corner and not really pulling the trigger on the right hand. He didn't seem to be motivated to go in there and just smash Jake Paul into oblivion in the first 1 or 2 rounds, which I think he could have done. But he's been out of the ring 15 months, he's a bit slow on his feet, a bit ring rust maybe, and he was it's hard. When I used to spar novice amateurs, even when I was a world champion pro, if you're not motivated, sometimes you can have a couple of bad rounds and you're sort of looking at your opponent and a jab hits you or right hand hits you. And I think AJ was in a bit of a daze early on, just walking him around, touching the jab on his shoulder, not really pulling the trigger on the right hand. Didn't look like he got out of first gear. Jake Paul was just on pure survival mode from round 1 right through to round 6. I don't know if he's got a moral victory going 6 rounds. Maybe he has. People might give him credit for going 6 rounds. But he got in there and just survived. He just went in there and ran like a chicken from round 1 right through to round 6 when he got splattered. And it's like, it's just, you can't really justify what he's done, because this is supposed to be a professional sanctioned boxing match. And I think it brings the integrity of the sport down when somebody like AJ, is a 2-time world champion, can't get in there and just completely dismiss somebody like Jake Paul, who I've said for ages can't fight. He's not a professional boxer. It's just AJ following him around, touching him to the shoulder. Round 1 came and went. Round 2 was much of the same, bit slow. I think AJ got caught with an overhand right at one stage, but sometimes when you're out in the rain, you're going to get wet. He was following him around, taking his eye off the ball, probably a bit undermotivated, thinking, what's this guy doing that's in front of me? Jake Paul was just running.
Boxing analysts say Jake Paul's recent fight showed the limits of his credibility in the sport. They explained that wearing gloves doesn't make someone a real boxer, and hype alone can't keep fans interested. They said his show fight with Mike Tyson already raised doubts, and the fight with Anthony Joshua made them stronger. Analysts noted that real boxing fans are losing interest, as the viewership was much lower than major fights like Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford. Some people even talked about conspiracy theories, but experts agree that rumors don't matter. They say Jake's popularity is fading, and spectacle without real skill can no longer support a serious boxing career.
Train, or you put on a pair of boxing gloves, that does not mean that you will be perceived as legitimate. It doesn't mean people will be willing to pay to watch you fight. Me personally, I was done with Jake Paul after the pretend fight that he had with Mike Tyson last year. Clearly, I'm not the only one, because viewership for his fight last weekend with Anthony Joshua, it was significantly lower than a real fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the main channels in the description below. There are a lot of allegations right now that the fight between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua was rigged, or it was supposed to be rigged. According to the conspiracy theories, Jake Paul was supposed to win the fight, but Anthony Joshua decided to knock his ass out anyway. If it was supposed to be rigged, it would not be the first time that a fight in boxing was stained with corruption. But either way, it doesn't matter, because interest in seeing Jake Paul fight is on the decline. His fight last weekend averaged 33 million views on Netflix. Now, to his credit, that is a great number.
Sam Jones gave an honest reaction to Jake Paul's loss to Anthony Joshua. He said the fight was hard to watch, not because it was violent, but because it showed big problems in Jake's skills and knowledge of boxing. Jones explained that just lasting in a fight does not mean you are a good boxer. Dodging punches, holding, or backing away can help someone survive, but it does not show real skill or competition. He said fans should respect fighters who engage, use smart strategy, and show strong technique. Jones added that this fight showed the difference between entertainment and real sport, and that true respect in boxing comes from courage, skill, and consistent performance.
Action to Anthony Joshua knocking out and breaking Jake Paul's jaw. Just talk to me right now about the fight itself, and then we'll break it down.
Bit of a crap fight, if we're all honest. It was like watching Jaws 2 when all the kids went out on their boats and they were in the middle of the sea and the shark was just surrounding the boat, just like that's what it was like. It was just like it was like a shark circling its prey and just like it was like nibbling, and eventually got him. But Jake Paul showed big plums in there, no matter what anybody says about him, because I've seen people say, yeah, he went in there to survive. Yeah, okay, he went in there to survive. He's a guy that's been boxing a couple of years against a unified champion of the world who can really punch. Yeah, it wasn't the best. It wasn't the best fight. It just wasn't the best thing to watch, was it? Like it was just, yeah, it weren't great. I just want to see now Tyson Fury against Anthony Joshua. I think at the stages of their careers they're at, AJ and Tyson Fury, we don't need to see interim fights, Andrew. We don't need to see interim fights because they're just potential banana skins. We want to see two of the best heavyweights of this era going at it.
Duke McKenzie shared a clear and experienced view on the fight between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul. He said his comments come from knowledge, not personal dislike. McKenzie explained that the result of the fight speaks for itself. The strong knockout showed the clear gap in skill and preparation between the two fighters. He said this is not about insulting anyone, but about facing the truth of professional boxing. For McKenzie, moments like this remind everyone how high the level is at the top, and the result alone proves that success in boxing requires real skill and experience.
It reminded me of like when you got a fly on the windscreen and you're trying to swat it, and you're trying to swat it and you miss and you keep tapping, and then eventually, bang, you get it. That's exactly what that fight was. Jake Paul didn't get in there to win last night. He got in there to survive. And he didn't do a better job of surviving. He sold the fight brilliantly. That's what he is. He's a salesman. And he's a YouTuber, influencer, call him whatever you want. So from that perspective, he did his job, but he never got in there to win. He just got in there to got beat up. I'm glad Anthony Joshua done a number on him. This is why boxers are boxers, YouTubers, whatever they want to call themselves, influencers. They should stay in their lane and fight people that they're supposed to fight on their level. This guy was never on Anthony Joshua's level, and Joshua did what he needed to do, did what he had to do for the sake of boxing, and blow this guy out and just knock him out.
What about the fact that Jake was able to land on him clean a couple of times? What did you make of that?
Oh, listen, you can't get into the water without getting hit. Fortunately for Joshua, that guy can't break an egg. So he was never in any danger. He's always going to get hit back. I mean, it was 6 rounds. Anthony Joshua was always going to take at least 1 or 2 shots over that 6-round period, but it was nothing to hurt him. It was nothing to bother him. And like I say, this is all about getting AJ's confidence back. Okay. If Jake Paul fights, if he fights KSI or KFC or whatever his name is, then those two are evenly matched, aren't they? They're evenly matched, and then they could fight, and then because they're evenly matched.
After the fight, people quickly started talking about what Jake Paul should do next in boxing. Many analysts and fans said heavyweight fights may not be right for him because of the big differences in size, strength, and experience compared to fighters like Anthony Joshua. The fight showed how dangerous it is to face much bigger and more experienced opponents. They warned that continuing like this could lead to more injuries and long-term harm. Many suggested Jake should rethink his path and focus on divisions that better match his body and skills. The discussion highlights how important smart career choices are in boxing, where safety matters as much as ambition and entertainment.
Effort he gave. Now, I know it's not easy to fight a guy that's running away from you, and Jake Paul made a ring bigger. It was 22 by 22 as
it's
opposed
huge
to 20
ring.
by
When
20.
I was looking at it, I'm like, holy shit, this ring's massive.
I had said before the fight, I tweeted, I said, it was like a soccer field that they were, fighting in, right?
Yeah.
And, it's not easy to do that, but he just looked poor in there and like he didn't really care. And, you're being paid that much money and people are, I looked at tickets today just to see on their ticket map how many tickets were left and what it was like. And there was tickets being sold for $3,500. And then this is the kind of performance, if you're AJ, that you give when you're being paid $35 million and people are paying that much money to get in. I thought that was, the whole show was awful. Netflix ought to be embarrassed for putting that on, but that main event was just.
That's all for today's video. Keep watching for more.